3 out of 4 suicides are male. It's the biggest killer of school children in the UK. And it's the biggest killer of men under the age of 40. There are lots more, but those 3 really say a lot about actually where we are with men's mental health. Franklin D. Roosevelt said, men are not prisoners of fate, but prisoners of their own mind. I got to remember, you could chop all this up. There's me thinking this is like, no. Yeah. My name's Jim Cumpson. I run an organisation charity called Boys in Mind, and we are a preventative charity trying to stop suicide with young men and boys. Because actually it's about having younger men stand up and speak and say, actually, I'm not this traditional stereotype male from yesteryear. I think it's actually the more people say, this is how I am, this is who I am, the message gets across. And I think they just need to continue actually having conversations, talking, and actually sharing their views.
Can you see my hands?
Because of my ADHD, I find it very difficult to start things again. Once I have done something, no matter what level I've done it to, once I take that break or come away from it, I find that it's very hard for me to get back into it. So coming out here and climbing outdoors is really good to train me to do that. A lot of outdoor climbing is about projecting and doing a climb over and over and over again. So it really helps train my ADHD brain. It helps train it to come back and keep trying things rather than just giving up. I think that there's a horrible sort of culture around manning up. You know what I mean? Like, be a man, don't talk about it, don't say things. And I find it very hard talking about things like that. I find it very awkward. I find that I need to just kind of deal with it on my own, and I 100% don't think that that's the right way of doing it. I think that we should speak up, and I am a bit of a hypocrite when I say that, because obviously I don't always, but I think we should speak up, and I think taking help, especially as a man, taking help that is handed to you, you need to do it, because there's been too many people that I know that have got poor mental health because they don't ask for the help that they could get.
One of the phrases that men said to us is manning up. Manning up is something expected of them. Is this something you're aware of?
Yeah, and we're very much aware. I mean, it's been a phrase used across the board, and I think, I mean, historically I might be wrong, but I think that's come from the military, because it's basically talking about being tough. It's about duty, it's about being strong and not pushing down those emotional responses. So yes, it's something that's been around, you know, culturally in this country for quite a few years.
So today we're in the Olgwyn Valley in North Wales. We're going to hike up Tryfan, which is a really nice mountain. We're going to try and sort of skirt around the side of it and then go up between the two sort of peaks of it, and then maybe get to the main summit later on in the day.
So have you ever felt the pressure to man up in difficult climbs, in sketchy and difficult situations?
I think it depends who I'm with. You know, if I'm leading a group, obviously I've sort of always got the sort of the feeling that I need to, you know, be in control of the situation. So I definitely sort of feel like I need to man up. Yeah, sometimes. You know, if I'm finding it difficult, and I'm looking back and sort of no one else is finding it difficult, I'm thinking, oh, okay, something's gone wrong here. But no, I mean, when I'm by myself, I think on my sort of solo trips to various places, I sort of try and push myself. So I for sure probably, you know, try and tell myself to just crack on with it, just get on with it. But you know, when I'm with other people, obviously I'm not going to turn around and, you know, tell them to pull themselves together, whatever. You know, everyone's got their own abilities, and if they're struggling, you know, you've got to slow down, so yeah.
As you may know, men find it tricky to deal with mental health and well-being issues. What is your opinion on that?
So men's mental health is obviously hugely important. You know, thankfully we're talking about it a lot more recently. I mean, I think that the outdoors, say traditionally, been quite a nice place for men to sort of go and have a sort of breather. I think there's not that many places that the blokes can do that. So it's quite nice to sort of have the ability to just distance yourself for a bit, or even come out here with friends if you need to, and just sort of spend some time thinking about yourself, thinking about your mental health, and having a little break really out here is really nice.
So what advice could you give to Harry and Archie if they're going through sort of mental health?
Well, first of all, as we are outside, being outside and being outdoors is key, is one of the key elements for well-being and mental health, because it takes away those barriers, those man-made structures in offices and in buildings. It's natural. It's a natural environment. You're in touch with nature. You're hearing the sounds. You can feel the wind. It's all those natural aspects. So Archie and Harry going out and doing, like we call that, going for a walk and a talk, having a conversation while you're walking, having a conversation. It could be gardening, or it could be just being outside. So yeah, I would actually promoting the idea of being outside as part of your own well-being.
What's the hardest situation you've had to deal with over the past 5 years?
5 years.
And or just like your lifetime. And how did you deal with it?
So when I was about 12, close to my 13th birthday, actually, to be fair, my mum passed away. And obviously, that sucks. It was kind of quite a difficult time for my whole family. In the grand scheme of things, like, it wasn't that much of a sort of long period. It was fairly sudden, probably like a year to like 6 months, to be fair, the whole process. And yeah, I mean, I was only 12, like I say, so still pretty young. But I was very, very close to her. I'd probably say closer to her than I was my dad. I think we were so similar. So I was a very outdoorsy person. Like, she was a park ranger when she was sort of my age. So she's always been super outdoorsy. That was quite tough. I think like the hardest bit though was just sort of seeing how it affected the other people around me. I've always felt I've been okay at controlling my emotions, but I just hated seeing how it affected everyone else. Like, it sucks for a bloke to see their dad cry. Like, that's the worst. Someone that you see is so powerful, someone that you see is so like, strong in your life. When you see them break down, that sucks.
Yeah. I have been quite fortunate to not have situations like that happen, but I've lost people in other ways. I had undiagnosed ADHD and undiagnosed autism throughout my first 18, 19 years of schooling. And I always used to think, why do these people, not want to be friends with me? Why do people not like me? Why do people think I'm weird? Like, what's wrong with me? And so I had really bad self-doubt through my whole life. My mum saw it, and that was probably really hard for me as well, is that my mum, you don't want your mum to be right. Sometimes she went to the school and spoke up for me and tried to get me help. And unfortunately, it was spoken therapy, which, as I said, it doesn't really work for me. But it was hard to have that like people notice me being upset. I didn't think people would. I thought I'd put a pretty good mask up and stuff like that, and I didn't want people to notice.
Is there any danger of men this generation becoming too soft?
Is there a chance of men? No, I don't think there is, and I think men are just being emotional, and I think that's more about a previous mindset of looking at it about being tough and being strong. I think actually you can be manly, you can be tough, and you can be strong. In fact, to stand up and say I can't cope is strength. To stand up saying I'm struggling is being strong. To stand up and say I can't cope is toughness. So actually, I think quite the opposite. I think actually men will become stronger and tougher by being more emotional.
What do you reckon? 100 men versus East. Apparently if you scream they'll just fucking run away.